The Liberal Democrats increased your Dorset Council tax by just under 5% this year. But when the Conservatives were in control in Dorchester, the same thing happened. One thing both parties agree on is that Dorset doesn't get a fair financial settlement from central government. In fact, Dorset has the oldest age demographic in the country. 1 in 3 of our residents are aged 65 or older, compared with 19% across England and Wales. So, adult social care takes up a huge amount of Dorset Council's budget. So, if you wanted to pay less council tax, what would you cut? Or do you think certain services should get more money and others need trimming or axing? Dorset Council has today launched a budget simulator that shows the impact of your decisions. Councillor Simon Clifford is the Cabinet member responsible for finance and says there's a serious message behind this online tool.
This is a chance to show people, one, how much the council does for them that they perhaps don't realise, but two, how difficult it is to balance the budget. So we have a legal duty that at the end of the financial year we have to have a set balanced budget. But that's extremely difficult when we're a very elderly county. More and more people are needing, for instance, adult social care. So the demand for our services is increasing, and yet we're very poorly funded by government. So the only real resource we have coming in is through fees and charges and council tax. So it just gives an insight into how difficult a proposition it is to set a budget for people in Dorset.
Who do you think is going to use it then?
Well, I hope as many people as possible. It's obviously not a real situation. It's broad brush and it gives very rough guide to some of the services we provide. But every person, every household in Dorset pays council tax. It'd be great to think that they're interested enough in where the council tax goes to have a go at this simulator and see if it works for them. Some people will really enjoy it and spend a lot of time on it. A lot of other people will just ignore it, saying it's not for me. That's fine. But it's useful for us to get a bit of feedback from those who do want to do it on where their priorities lie and what they think is more important than anything else.
You might support a political group or party and have strong views about whole areas of spending that should be boosted or cut. It's not easy to apply those changes to the model. You could, for instance, be a reform supporter who'd want to slash diversity costs or green spending. The budgets aren't presented in terms of language people might use every day. They're broken down into council departments, and that's more complicated to follow.
Yeah, I take your point, but as I said, it's broad brush. So we provide something like 450 different services. It would be impossible to put a simulator that could engage the public with that level of complexity and complication. So what we've done is try to push things together into the same kind of areas. I don't mind if everyone who supports reform has a go at it and expresses their view. This is all about explaining to people this is what the council tax goes towards. This is the really important areas that you perhaps don't know about. Most people think that the council is here to collect their bins, provide libraries, keep the roads relatively pothole free. Actually, we're not. We're here to look after vulnerable people. 2/3 of all your council tax goes on social care, either looking after elderly people, disabled people, children who need our help and support. That's where the money goes, but it's very hard to get that message over because it's not sexy. What is sexy is there's a pothole in my road or a street light's not working or my bin was missed. So part of the reason for launching a simulator is to explain to people this is what we do and this is how much it costs, which is extraordinarily high in many areas.
If you slide across with the adult social care, and obviously this is a ludicrous situation, you wouldn't be able to, not want to do it. If you removed all that spend, then your budget is fine, isn't it?
Yeah. In terms of politician, it would be very hard when people are sitting out on the pavement, dying in the streets because you're not providing any social care for them. But it's a demonstration of just how much money goes on, and we are obviously pleased and willing to pay on areas like adult social care. And as I said, it's the heart of what we do is looking after people. The alternative is you could use a slider and not fix roads and not collect bins and close libraries, and you can provide an even better service for those vulnerable people. Clearly, this tool is all about finding a balancing act. Where do people think you could cut back a little bit in order to spend a little bit more in other areas?
How considered has your choice of words been in the thing that pops up that tells you about the impact of your actions? Because when you make draconian, swinging cuts, sometimes some of the language, it's quite sort of finger-wagging and might make some people feel a bit guilty. Whereas if you go the other way, and you might think, you're being very kind and generous, I'm going to give you loads of money, you don't get somebody equally popping up or message saying, this is really ludicrous, you've been really irresponsible with finances. So it's slightly nuanced, isn't it?
I take your point. I mean, this is a tool that's used all over the country. I'm surprised it hasn't been used in Dorset before. And so it has gone through various changes to moderate the language. In the end, if you go too far in terms of the legal services that we have to provide, such as social care, you will put the council at risk of prosecution and failing in its duties. That you do need to be fairly hard to say you actually can't go as far as you might want to on that area. Whereas if you want to provide more services and be more positive, then there's no legal restriction to doing that. It's just you will run out of money.
Is it basically getting us ready for what could be a big council tax rise? Because I've tried in a very small amount of time with very limited financial experience to make the budget work, and it doesn't. Is it basically helping people understand that you might have to go to some kind of referendum and ask for a lot more money?
I don't think there's any chance whatsoever that we will take the public to a referendum to ask for more money. It's all about you have to live within your means. The government have made it very clear there's no extra money coming to Dorset Council, and that means we have to be self-sufficient. The idea of spending in excess of £1 million to ask people whether they want to pay even more for them to say no and us to waste that £1 million, that's not going to happen. So no, I suspect that as with most councils, we will put council tax up to the maximum allowed, which is 4.99%, if you include the social care grant that comes along with it. And that will be the end of it. So it gives people an insight into, actually, you don't raise that much money by putting up council tax by 1%. If you want to do something really significant and you really want to make a step change in the services you provide, it's got to be a really big number, and that's just not going to happen.
Of course, Simon Clifford is a Liberal Democrat, and I spoke with one local Conservative councillor who thought this was an unnecessary gimmick, and that people understand that being in office means difficult decisions and balancing many different services and budgets.
Well, that's a bit churlish. I mean, coming from politicians who have done nothing to engage with the public in their term in office, the fact that we're trying it different, if people don't like it, it doesn't get used, then we'll drop it. My hope is that people will realise that actually there's a real point to this. They'll understand better the breadth of our services. They'll understand actually it is extremely complex and difficult to balance the budget. And the allegation that people already know that is complete hogwash. People do not understand what we do, let alone how hard it is to balance social care against potholes or looking after children against providing a library service. These are choices that we have to make as councillors every day, and it'd be really interesting for people to have a go at doing it themselves, seeing how hard it is, as you've already established yourself. It is a challenge, and we do get feedback through the tool, which will help us understand where people's priorities are. So it's a win-win for me. It helps people understand what we do, gives them a chance of setting a budget and realising how hard it is, and then on top of that, gives us some feedback.
So broadly, in simplistic terms, how are you going to balance your budget to overcome that current shortfall identified with this tool? What are you going to have to slide, if you like, using the example of the budget calculator, the simulator?
And that's the process we're in. As an example of how complex it is, we've been working on this since probably about end of May. We have ideas, we have a transformation programme delivering savings, we are looking at the forecasts and seeing where we can trim and where we can slide. And we're confident that, as ever, as it has done for many years, Dorset Council will set a balanced budget. We are bringing papers forward in the next couple of weeks, which will outline some of the details. I'm very happy to come back and talk to you later once you see what they are for how we're going to deal with the overspend we have currently in this financial year as we move forward into next financial year. But one thing's really clear. This time next year, people will be 1 year older. Dorset has a very elderly population, and that means a very elderly population will be 1 year older. They'll be needing care. They'll be needing more help and support, and the costs will increase.
And if you're wondering how much money's been spent on this, Simon says not very much.
We have a budget of around £450 million. This has cost less than £5,000. It's absolute beans in terms of spend. Every penny counts, and it's £5,000 that we thought long and hard about whether we want to go down this route. So we're going to try it and see. And if it's a success, we'll change some of the language, and we'll take the points from everyone who's had a go at it, and we'll continue to use it. I think it's a really valued tool, and anything we can do that helps people understand what we do and where their council tax goes, I think it's fair enough.
You can have a go on the simulator until the 2nd of December, simulator.dorsetcouncil.gov.uk, or just go directly to the Dorset Council website. You should find it from there. We'll put a link from Alfred's social media as well.